Good morning, everybody. Listen, we got part 2 today of kitchen table fundamentals and just fundamentals with the great Jeff Fieldstead. And last week at the end of it, I was just telling Jeff my phone just blew up with text messages. People were just so excited to go through the fundamentals again. And Gary and Jeff and I were just talking, and Gary said that he played the webinar from last week, just the beginning part of it through the prospecting piece, and then all they did on Saturday morning was just role play that part. And then he has people who've never gone out and prospected before because they feel so confident are going out and getting names and numbers and all. So just remember never ever to tire of the basics and the fundamentals. It's energizing, it's exciting, and so anyway, Jeff, let's go on ahead and hit it with part 2.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Cheryl. I appreciate it. And, I just think the fundamentals are so important because, when you have a brand new person who goes out there and does something they've never done before, it is very exciting. And that's when you have a ton of fun in Primerica, when you have a brand new person go out and get results. So it may be boring for somebody who knows the fundamentals to continue to go over and over and over, but it's so exciting. For a brand new person, it's exciting for somebody who's been around for a while, for a brand new person to come in and get results because you've taught them the fundamentals and they've learned it. So I'm going to start with the next section. Last week we talked about how to prospect and get a name and a number, how to take an interview to the kitchen table, how to recruit across the kitchen table, how to close across the kitchen table. But once you've recruited, it's very, very important to get a new recruit off to a fast start. And I think when the rubber hits the road in Primerica, this is the difference. This is where people excel or get beat. This is the difference where people really grow by multiplication or just grow by addition. I believe that the fast start is probably the most important fundamental somebody could learn early on if they're going to be a builder, and I truly believe it's that important. And so as we're getting a new recruit off to a fast start, we always have to understand that the why is more important than the how. If the why is big enough, people will do whatever it takes to find out the how. So as you're getting a new recruit off to a fast start, you must explain why they must get you in front of 15 people their first 30 days. So our goal is always explain to them, okay, this is why you're doing Primerica. This is why you got to get us in front of 15 people the first 30 days. Otherwise, people just think, oh, well, you just want to get in front of my market or whatever. But if they understand why, the how is easy. The how, learning how to set an appointment or just setting an appointment for a brand new person is easy. It's their best friend, And so we got to explain to them why they're getting us in front of those people. So this is how we explain the why, and this is why they got to get us. I mean, you think about if you were brand new and we were talking as you were brand new in the business, would this excite you to get in front of 15 people your first 30 days? So I would just sit down with them. Let's say I recruited Cheryl. I'd say, hey Cheryl, I'm very excited that you decided to get involved with us, and I want you to know, Cheryl, that if you follow our system, every goal and dream you have can and will be accomplished. Okay, so what's going to happen? Within about 60 days from now, you're going to be licensed and trained, along with 1, 2, maybe even 3 or more licensed trained people along with you, as well as several others on track to do the same. You're going to have an unlimited number of appointments to go on because of all the new recruits coming out of your team that need to be field trained. And Cheryl, that's going to put you in position to make $2,000 to $5,000 a month in income right out of the gate. It'll also put you in position to be a regional vice president within about 6 months or so. However, you probably won't want to take your RVP promotion 12 to 18 months. You're mature enough in the business to be one. But Cheryl, you're going to make $30,000 to $50,000 in income your first year part-time, and $150,000 to $250,000 in income your second year full-time. So let me ask you, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, what would be your desire to make all that happen?
Absolutely 10, 12, or 15.
Okay, so that's very high. So Cheryl,
Yes.
What a 10 means to me, as long as it's moral, ethical, and legal, you're willing to do whatever it takes. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes.
Okay, with that being said, then all you need to do while you're getting licensed is get us in front of 15 people that are in the right market, that are married, got kids, own a home, across their kitchen table in the next 30 days. So I'm guessing that's something you can do, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. So let me ask you this. How many days or nights a week can you give to Primerica right now?
I can get 4 or 5, Jeff.
Okay, great. So let's say if Cheryl says 4 or 5, then that's fine. Let's say Cheryl says 1 or 2. Now, she just told me her desire to win on a scale of 1 to 10 was 12 or 15. And if she says, I can give you 1 night a week, I'm going to say, Cheryl. Now, 1 night a week is, you said that your desire was on a scale of 1 to 10 was a 12. Now, 1 night a week is not a 12. So we have a couple of choices. One is we can increase the amount of time you're willing to invest, or 2 is we can reduce your desire on what it takes to win. Which would you prefer, invest more time or reduce your desire?
I'd rather invest more time.
Okay, great. So maybe we can get through, start with 2 or 3 days, and then we can work into more time. Is that fair enough?
Okay. Yes.
Okay, great. So that's how up front I'm going to get Cheryl to commit to plugging into all the meetings, to going out on kitchen table appointments. Is right then and there is where I'm going to talk to her about why we have to invest more time, and that's how I'm going to get her to commit to more time. So then the next thing I'm going to say, okay, Cheryl, so as I've been going through all of this, who have you been thinking of that you'd like to share this with?
Hey, Jeff, let me jump in for 1 second. Do you get a commitment at that point in terms of what nights they'll work each week?
Yes.
Like, in other words, like Mondays and Wednesdays or something like that?
Yep, exactly. What I do is I have a sheet, and the sheet has Sunday through Saturday on it, and then it has blocks of time, like 9 to noon, 1 to 4, 4 to 10.
Right.
And then it has those blocks of time, so I have them cross out what block of time they cannot work. So in Primerica, so if somebody has a job, they're going to block out like 9 to 4, 9 to 5, or whatever, and then the rest of them are open. So then we'll work those times. So yeah, so I go through and I get a commitment, and then what I do is I circle the other times, like the meetings. Like we do our op meetings Thursday nights and our training Saturday mornings. And
right.
So I tell them there's 2 fundamentals to winning in this business. It's very, very simple. Number 1 is never miss a meeting. So these meetings are very, very important, regardless if you have somebody, you don't have somebody. You got to be a part of a team before you can build a team. So fundamental number 1 of winning is never missing a meeting. If you're going to be at football or play basketball, you can't miss practice. The coach doesn't put you in the game if you miss practice. It's no different here, that you can't miss a meeting. That's fundamental number 1. And number 2 is bring people. So never miss a meeting, bring people. And that's why we got to block out those 2 days. So your goal on those 2 days are never miss a meeting and to bring people down with you. And then what we'll do on, say it's Monday or Tuesday night, is we're going to get out there and go get across the kitchen table and teach you how to do the presentation, recruit across the kitchen table, close business, make money, and do those things so you can grow a team. So it's kind of the conversation.
So handle that and handle it and get a commitment right on the front end. If they were going to work anywhere else, they'd have a schedule, a set schedule, and we've got to make sure that we do the same thing. Or I just believe that their list and their time is their sweat equity, to build a business with us.
Exactly, and that's. I want to get a commitment, number 1, that somebody's going to show up. Because if they're not going to show up, I don't care how many people they take me to go see, that team is never going to build. It's never going to grow because if that leader doesn't commit to showing up, they're not calling everybody saying how excited they are about the next meeting, all that kind of stuff, all their friends. And I need them to do those things to be able to build a team underneath them. And
right.
So I have to get that commitment that they're going to show up first. And then getting on kitchen tables is an easy thing as long as they got a good market. You're recruiting people with credibility and those kind. That's an easy thing. So,
right.
So
okay.
The next thing I would ask you is say, okay, great. So as I've been going through this, who have you been thinking of that you'd like to share this with? And Cheryl's going to start mentioning a couple names. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, Cheryl. And so we're going to put together your list. And as we put together your list, I want you to understand that this is your inventory, okay? If you were going to open up a shoe store, what would be your inventory?
Shoes.
Shoes would, right? So just like shoes would be your inventory if you're in the shoe business. Now, if you had 2 pairs of shoes, are you going to make any money?
No.
No. Why not?
I don't have enough inventory.
You don't have enough inventory. So it's not that you were in the wrong business. It was that you didn't have enough inventory to make enough money to stay in business. So just like shoes would be your inventory in the shoe business, or food would be your inventory in the restaurant business, in our business, we are in the service industry. So we can't keep a warehouse full of mutual funds. So our inventory are clients to serve, since we are in the service business, or names, okay? So as we put together your list, understand that my job is to grow the amount of names you have available for you to call. So I want you to think about this, Cheryl. If you write 100 names down and we go out and we get 10 referrals from 100 people, you now have 1,000 names to call. So at that point in your career, your only question is going to be, how do I see all of these people? Not, who do I go see? So understand, the more names you have to start with on your list, the more success you're going to have most likely, okay? Without having these names, it'd be like having a Starbucks without coffee or McDonald's without French fries. It simply wouldn't work. So the more names you have, the more success you're going to have. So what I want you to do is I want you to get out your cell phone, and I want you to start with A and go to Z. And I want you to write down every single person that's 18 years of age or older in your phone. I want you to write them down. I don't care if they live here, don't live here, where they're at, doesn't matter to me. I don't want you to skip anybody. I want you to write them down on a list, and you and I will go through and qualify, and we'll decide who we're going to go see, okay?
Okay.
So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go find out if they're qualified. So I don't care. I'll take an hour for you to get that list. Put down on a piece of paper, qualified, because that's the most important part of this business, is somebody getting a good qualified list.
Right.
So I'm going to find out if they're qualified, and if they're not, we'll set up an interview with those people or invite them to the op meeting. So I'm going to teach you what a qualified appointment is, what's an invite, you know, who to invite down to the meeting or who to set up an interview with. And then also some people are kind of, they have a little bit of reserve about calling their friends or family or whatever, and I'm just going to remind them exactly how important it is what we do. And so I'll go through the Get the Facts manual, maybe show them cash value policies, or whatever it may be, for them to feel totally comfortable that we're going to go see all these people that they love and care about. So,
hey, Jeff, what is qualified to you?
Qualified to me is married. They're between the ages of 22 and 50. So they're married, ages 22 and 50. They got young children at home, so probably 16 years of age or younger, still in the home. And preferably they own their home. Not a huge deal, but I would like them to own their home. That shows me that they're responsible, that kind of thing. And then they've been in the area a couple of years.
Okay.
That's qualified. So
married, kids, job, right?
Yep, married, kids, job, and make 30 grand a year plus.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if they're not qualified, let's say they don't have young kids at home, they don't own their home, none of that kind of stuff, I'll interview them to see where they're at first during the day, so I'm not going to waste my kitchen table time, and maybe recruit them or invite them down to the meeting after that or whatever. I just want to use my 6 and 8 o'clock very effectively so that we make sure we're getting results. That brand new recruit, we're closing business, or recruiting across the kitchen table, and recruiting in the right market so we can go see more people in the right market at 6 and 8.
Right. Right.
So the big key, I believe, the most important thing in this business is after you get that list, that you role play what to say with them, and you get on the phone with them right then and there. You know, our motto is you set 5 kitchen tables with a new recruit on the spot. It's our motto. You don't leave the house till you got 5 kitchen tables set. You don't leave the house till you got 5 kitchen tables set. And we say that all the time because I believe what happens when you recruit John is if he goes to work tomorrow morning and he tells his best friend, hey, I joined this Primerica thing, and his buddy at work, let's say his name is Bob, and Bob says, you joined what? That Primerica thing? My cousin's, sister's, aunt's, uncle's dog did that thing, never made any money. And now, if you didn't set any appointments, John quit. You'll call John. He don't answer his phone. He goes, oh, my gosh. You know, he listens to Bob at work. Now, if you set 5 appointments with John, John goes to work tomorrow. Bob says the same thing, but John's thought, instead of quitting, says, well, I guess I'll see on my appointment tonight. Now, do we go on an appointment with John tonight? We recruit his best friend named Tom. We recruit Tom. We set 5 appointments with Tom because that's what you're supposed to do when you get an IBA. So now John has his 4 more appointments to go on, plus we just set 5 more. So now he's got 9 appointments. So instead of him wondering whether or not he can do this thing, now he's sitting there thinking, man, I'm going to have to quit my job. So he goes back to work tomorrow and tells Bob, man, you're an idiot. I recruited somebody last night. This thing is going to be huge. I got 9 appointments to go on. You're going to be stuck here until you die. So his mindset is totally different because of one reason, and we set those 5 kitchen tables on the spot. So if you're going to lock a new recruit in, immediately it has to be because you set those 5 kitchen tables on the spot. So after you set up a couple of appointments, that's when we go over the hiring pack. We'll set goals with them. We'll make sure we go over their schedule, what other days to book out, when they're going to PFSU, and all that kind of stuff. You know, give them the new associate CD, and they can listen to that thing 15, 20, 30 times, whatever it may be. And just so you guys know, for the new associate CD, all we do is we give out Brett Burke's CD where he gives to his new recruits, where it talks about being an employee versus a business owner. I think it's phenomenal for a new recruit to think about recruiting right up front. So once I get a new recruits list, I'm going to role play with them on what to say to set an appointment. I'm going to do it with, if I'm sitting down with Cheryl, I'm going to role play with her until she has it down. She knows exactly what to say. She knows every objection. She knows how to overcome it. She knows how to set the appointment. And I'm going to sit there and role play with her. It might take me 20 minutes or 30 minutes, but I want to get her very comfortable. So when she calls and sets the appointment, it just rolls out. It's very simple. So I'm going to role play with her and say, okay, Cheryl, so here's what you say. When we call one of your friends, all you're going to you're going to call them and say, hey, this is Cheryl, how you doing? And they're going to say, oh, great, and you're going to chat for a minute, right? And so after you chat for a second, you say, hey, you know, the reason I'm calling is I just got started with a new company. I'm very excited about it. Would you help me out and allow me to come and show it to you and your wife? And they'll say, sure. You say, great, what day is better? I have Monday, or would Tuesday be better? Now, if they don't say sure, they're only going to say one other thing. They're going to say, what is it? That's it. That's all anybody ever says is, what is it, if they don't say sure. See, well, the name of the company is Primerica, and I'm just learning about it, so I don't want to try to explain it because I'll mess it up. When we come by, I'll let my trainer explain it to you. So when would be better? I got Monday, or would Tuesday night be better? And we set up the appointment. So the only other thing that they're going to say is, you know, I don't think we're interested. And all I'm going to teach you to say, Cheryl, is, look, if you're not interested and it's not for you, would you feel comfortable telling me no? And they're going to say, yeah. Say, great. And then I have Monday or Tuesday, which day would be better. That's it. It's very, very simple. So I'm going to go over that script 15, 20 times, whatever it takes for Cheryl to get really good at it. All right? So the next fundamental is overcoming objections. So you think about what we've...
For just 1 second. Jeff, can I ask you something? Then what, typically, how long of a time do you take to go through your startup of what you just said, of getting the names and numbers, you know, talking to them about meeting attendance?
Yeah, probably an hour. I never try to be longer than an hour and a half.
Okay.
Yeah, but my average, I don't want them to feel like just like a kitchen table appointment. You don't want to go there and stay there forever. They don't want to let you back in.
Right.
But yeah, so I try to keep it in an hour. Sometimes it might take an hour and a half.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, and if it runs long, you know, my goal is to get the list, set 3 or 4 appointments, and then we'll meet back up.
Okay.
You know, and that's probably another good point is one of the things I always do is after I've set 5 appointments with the new recruit, I've done their fast start, even if I spent an hour and a half, I did everything I wanted to do with them. I'm always going to set up another time to get back together with them so that we can set more appointments. I can talk to them about their goals. Just gives me a chance to meet one-on-one with them again.
Right,
you know?
right. I think that one of the things we've talked about in the past that's important for us to remember is that when you recruit somebody, this is about building a new friendship. This is about building a relationship, and what that takes is usually about 15 hours, it's just in terms of when you first meet with them, and then they come to the off meeting, and then you sit down and do a startup, and then you go on some appointments, and you do their own personal program. All that's relationship building, and that is the glue that holds this organization together, right?
Exactly. That's exactly right. And it's funny you say that, because just last night I had a training with, I've got what I call an elite team of 20 people, and out of those 20 people that all have teammates that show up, the ones that show up are all people that they've built relationships with, all people that they know their spouses, they know their kids, all that kind of stuff. They've gone out in the field with them. They've been in the trenches with them, and those are all the people that stick around.
Yes. Yep.
So great. So the next fundamental. So you think about again what we've done. So now we've prospected, interviewed a kitchen table. A kitchen table, whether it's recruiting, closing live, getting a new recruit off to a fast start. And I really believe that the last fundamental is so important, is overcoming objections, which really you only get the same objections, whether it's recruiting objections or closing life, you get the same objections for the most part. And I believe somebody's ability to overcome those objections confidently determines how good of a job that they do at duplicating themselves or teaching their people to get results, because when somebody goes out there, the fact is that they're going to get some objections, and if they learn how to overcome them, they feel like they're unstoppable. And so, I'm talking about overcoming the most common objections with recruiting, because we get them a lot. And the first one somebody gets is this a pyramid. And so the sooner you can teach somebody to ask questions and overcome objections, the sooner they're going to be more confident. I was talking to a gal the other day. She's been in the business about 90 days now. She's been licensed for about 45 days. And she started to get some objections. I was role-playing with her the other day, and she kind of knew how to overcome objections, but she didn't realize that you have to ask questions. It can't be a statement. It has to be a question. And the consumer, the client, or whoever, the new recruit, whoever it may be, the person you're trying to recruit, has to answer the question that you're asking. So it's very important, just, first of all, to understand that all overcoming objections are asking the right questions. So it's very easy to do. You're just going to learn to ask the right questions. So somebody says, hey, is this a pyramid? And I would just ask them, so what's your idea of a pyramid? And they'll probably say some version of, well, somebody at the top makes all the money. And I'll say, so can I ask you a question? And they'll say, yeah. I say, well, where do you work right now? And they'll tell me. And I'll say, well, let's say it's Best Buy, or whatever. I say, well, in the company you work for right now, or Best Buy, do you have a manager? And they'll say, yeah. And I'll say, okay, so does your manager have somebody above them? I'll say, yeah. Who's that? Well, the general manager. Okay. And do they have somebody above them? And they say, yeah. Well, it's the regional manager. Well, does the regional manager have somebody above them? Yeah. And they'll tell you all the way up to the CEO. So I'm going to guide my way all the way up to the owner or the CEO of the company. And I'm going to say, well, let me ask you, does the manager make more money than you? Yeah. Does the general manager make more money than the manager? Yeah. Does the regional manager make more money than the general manager? Yeah. Does the owner of the company make more money than the regional manager? Yeah. So who makes more, you or the guy at the top? And they'll say, well, the guy at the top makes the money. So what you're telling me is that your company, the guy at the top, makes all the money. So what's your opportunity to have his position? And so as I'm drawing this out on a piece of paper, it looks like a pyramid. So I'm going to say, so what does that look like to you? And they're going to say, a pyramid. I'm going to say, well, it's not. It's just a business. So let me ask you, if you were going to get started, whether it's working for Best Buy or working with a company, wouldn't it make sense to work for a company that doesn't put any restrictions on your income potential that allow you to make as much money as you want or move up the system as fast or as slow as you want. Wouldn't that make sense? And they're going to say, yeah. Say, okay, great, let's get you started. So the next thing is they might say, well, I'm not a salesperson. Now, if somebody says, well, I'm not a salesperson, that's a good thing. I look at a person who says, I'm not a salesperson, and go, this is a good person, because I don't want people who feel like they can sell anything. The guy who says, oh, this is going to be great, I can sell anything to anybody, honestly, that doesn't excite me. What excites me is when somebody says, you know, Jeff, I'm just not a salesperson. So I need to know how to overcome that, because that means that they're a good person, that they care about other people, you know. They don't just want to sell anything to make a buck. Now, there's nothing wrong with sales, but, you know, there is something wrong with selling something to somebody that's not a good thing for them, you know. And so usually that's why they're saying that. And so I'm going to ask them, you know, if it was Cheryl, I would say, hey, Cheryl, so what is it about sales that you don't like? And she's just going to say, oh, well, they're pushy, or, you know, I just don't want to talk somebody into something, or whatever it may be. I'm going to say, okay, that's fair. Let me ask you, Cheryl, have you ever had an experience where you bought something that you really thoroughly enjoyed that transaction, that when you bought something, you just felt really good about it? Like you ever bought a car, or you ever bought a home, or you ever went to a clothing store and you just went, man, I just really had a good experience at that store. She's going to say, yeah. And I'm going to say, so was that person pushing? She's going to say, no, not at all. So I'm going to say, so let me ask you, if I could show you how to be successful educating families so they would feel good about you, just like you felt about that person you enjoyed that transaction with, could you think of any reason why you wouldn't go ahead with us? She's going to say no. I say, great, so let's get started, right? So the next thing someone might say, which is probably the most common one I think people get, is I don't have 99 bucks. So I'm going to ask Cheryl, I'm going to say, Cheryl, so is it that you don't have the $99, or is it that you don't see the value of what you'd be doing for families? She go, oh, well, Jeff, I just don't have the 99. I go, well, let me ask you. If I told you outside that I have a brand new BMW M5, you know, and it's an $85,000, $90,000 car sitting outside, and I've got the keys right here, and I told you I would sell it to you for $99 right here, right now, but you had to have the money right now, would you be able to come up with the money? And they go, yeah, no problem. And I go, so what you're really telling me is that you don't see yourself being successful helping families. And you say, well, I guess. So if I could show you how to earn the income to help families, and we could go see somebody and turn this into a reality right now instead of theory, is there any reason you wouldn't get started? So, well, no, I guess not. You know, so I'm going to overcome that. Another way I overcome the $99, I'll tell you guys this real quick, is I'll ask Cheryl, I'll say, Cheryl, so if I sit down with someone, and the average person I sit down with is probably 35, so I'll say, okay, so you're 35 years old. That means you've probably been working for at least 15 years of your life, which is 180 months. So what you're telling me is that you haven't saved 50 cents a month since the time you started working. You haven't saved 10 cents a week since the time you started working. Is that what you're telling me? You go, wow. So let me ask, if you haven't saved 50 cents a month, or $99 over the last 15 years, what is the next 15 years going to look like if you don't make a change? So I'm going to ask them that, you know.
That's good.
Yeah. And a lot of people, you know, and I do that just so you guys know in my op meeting, so that people in my op meeting don't give that objection afterwards. And nobody after my op meeting dares to give the objection, I don't have $99, because every week I close my op meeting like that. So the next one is I don't have the time. And that's understandable too. And just so you guys know, people that say I don't have the time are perfect for Primerica, because that means they're busy. People who have a bunch of time are lazy. And that's why they have all this time free, because they don't do anything. People that are really busy are the kind of people you want, because they get things done. So if somebody tells me, I say, well, let me ask you, what are your commitments right now? They're going to go, well, I work. Well, okay, so how many hours a day do you work? And they're going to go, 8. What are your hours? All Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 or 9 to 5. I go, great. So what that really means is you have about 6 to 9 or 6 to 10 Monday through Friday free. Is that what you're telling me? And they're going to go, well, I got softball on Mondays. Got church stuff on Wednesdays. I got family stuff on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I say, so out of those things you just mentioned, the softball, the church stuff, which one of those things is more important than you reaching your goals and dreams? Is it the softball? And you go, no. I say, look, with your credibility, my know-how, it would be impossible for you to fail. So if I could show you how to build a business, instead of going to softball that one night a week and plugging in with us one night a week and earning an extra $20,000 to $40,000 a year, just learning it part-time, eventually making a career change, is there any reason you wouldn't get started? I go, no. I go, great. So and I'll tell you, if that one doesn't work, I'll break down the hours in a day. And so I'll say, look, there's 168 hours in a week. You work 40. It means there's 128 hours left. How many hours do you sleep on any given night? They say 6. I go, so okay, that's 42 hours. So then however many hours are left for, I go, okay, so what do you do with the other 95 hours a week? Do you play softball for 95 hours a week? Do you go to church stuff 95 hours a week? And they'll start realizing how much time they waste. And I say, so out of these 90 hours that are left, would you be willing just to invest 10 or 15 of them with me so that we can help you get out of your job, provide a great lifestyle for your family? They go, yeah. I'll go, okay, wait, let's get you started. So the next thing is, I don't think I can do it. And, that's an understandable thing because I felt that way when I started for America. So I would say, well, so let's say it was John. I was going to say, John, so what do you do now? And he's going to say, well, maybe he says, okay, I'm a mechanic. I say, well, that's great. So when you started doing that, did you just know how to do it, or did somebody train you? So would somebody train me? So would you say you're better at it now or when you first started? Well, I'm better at it now. So how long did it take you to learn everything? Say, oh, a couple of years. So I'm guessing you had someone teaching you or a mentor in you or teaching you how to do it, right? Yeah. So if I spend the time teaching you and educating you on exactly what we do, can you think of any reason why you wouldn't get started? Just like you learn how to break down an engine and put it back together, it took you a while. This is going to be pretty quick because all this is talking. So, John, if I could show you how to say the right words, because you know how to talk, right? Yeah. So if I could teach you how to answer the questions and say the right words, so there is no reason that you wouldn't get started with us today then, right? He said, no. Okay, great. So let me tell you, John, with your credibility and my experience, you're going to be nothing but successful, man. Say, okay, great. So those are recruiting objections. The next thing is overcoming objections for life insurance. So there'll be some people, you'll sit down and say, Jeff, we don't do anything on the first night, or I want to shop around, or I want to think about it. So if somebody says that, I'm saying, look, John, I understand, that you want to think about it, or you don't do anything on the first night, and I'm sure that the reason you don't do anything on the first night is because you want to think it over and make sure you don't make a mistake. Is that correct? You say, yeah. Well, I understand that probably the reason you want to shop around is because you want to think it over. You want to make sure you get the best value for your family. You want to make sure you don't make a mistake. Is that correct? Yeah. I would say, so let me ask you, how much time do you need to think it over to feel completely comfortable going ahead? You're going to say, like a week. Say, okay, great. So would you agree that what I've shown you so far is an improvement upon your current situation? You say, yeah. Say, so while you're thinking it over, John, what makes most financial sense to the both of you? Being properly protected while you're thinking about it, or not being protected if there's no obligation either way? You say, well, being protected. Great. So what we'll do is we'll get the underwriting process started tonight. We'll see if we can get you qualified for the coverages you're thinking about or shopping around. That way your family has coverage versus no coverage, okay? Say, okay. Great. So by the way, John, as you're shopping around, if you find something that looks better on the surface, be sure to get some on paper. We'll take a look at it when we come back. We'll make sure you get the best possible coverage for the best possible value for your family, okay? Say, okay, great. So the next thing you might say is, well, Jeff, I just don't see the need for life insurance.
Jeff,
some
can I
people
interrupt for a second? I wanted to just ask you, Jeff, on that where you went on ahead and put it in place and told them to shop around. Has your experience on that been they don't shop around?
Exactly.
They're just using that as a stall tactic?
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. And, it's just like if you sit down with somebody that says that you're trying to recruit and they say, well, I want to do my research. I mean, whoever does the research? Nobody.
Yeah. Right.
So what I started doing when people told me that is I have a packet. I have a research packet, that has like all the articles of when we were going public, the largest shareholders of our company. I have all that kind of stuff. So somebody says that, I go, great, here's a bunch of stuff. You can do your own research. Read through it. After you're done reading through it, we'll get you started. So
Right.
the same thing with life insurance is when somebody says that, they're just trying to stall the process.
Right.
It's not that they don't want life insurance. It's not that they don't want to get started. They are just trying to stall it,
Right. Right.
And
so you just want to head, overcome that objection and continue and write them up then.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
And then what we do, so after we get it done, I'm going to let them know the whole process. I'm going to come, if it's on the first appointment, I'm coming back and doing a carryback within the next couple of days. So get their mutual fund set up, they get a whole plan set up, they got their FIN number, they got 3 fundamental accounts, and they feel really, really good about it. And if it was on the second appointment, I'm closing it on the carryback anyway,
Right.
So just depending on when I close. We close a lot on the first appointment, but I close a lot on the second appointment, but I believe the carryback is so important to lock it in and do a good job for the client. By the way, my personal QBI is 91%, so a very good personal QBI.
Yeah, so when you do close on the first visit, then you always make sure to carry back the FNA and put the investments, the 3 fundamental accounts in place.
Yes. In fact, it's not an option to do a carryback with somebody I've closed business with. I'm doing it. I'm doing a carryback.
Yeah.
So the next thing somebody might say is, well, Jeff, I just don't see the need for life insurance. So I'll say, well, I understand. Nobody likes to invest in something that they don't think they need. But let me ask you, John. If I had a toaster that popped up $3,000 a month, every single month, would you insure that toaster in case it breaks? He goes, heck yeah, I would. I go, now even if it costs you $500 a month to insure that toaster, you still do it? Yeah, because every time you push that thing down once a month, it pops up $3,000. So you would pay $500 to make sure $2,500 never stops coming in case the toaster breaks a year from now. You still got $2,500 a month or $3,000 coming in, right? Yeah. I go, well, guess who acts as a toaster in your household? You do. So if you could insure your income, just like you would insure the toaster for a lot less than $500 a month, wouldn't it make financial sense to see if we could do that, John? You're going to say, yep, great. So we'll see if we can get you medically qualified for the coverage. So that's one way. Another way I'll overcome that is I'll just say, hey, John, so let me ask you, I understand you don't think you need life insurance, but let me ask you this. You have cars out in your driveway, right? And he goes, yeah. I go, so what do you think your cars are worth right now? And he's going to say, well, $30,000 apiece, $60,000 total. We say, okay, how much do you pay for auto insurance right now? Say, like in Nevada, it's probably $350 a month. So I'm going to say, so you're paying $350 a month to protect $60,000 worth of liability to you. And you currently make right now, John, $50,000 a year. So over the next 20 years of your life, you're going to bring in $1 million into your household. So you're $1 million asset to your family. So what you're telling me is you're willing to pay $350 a month to protect a $60,000 asset, but you're not willing to pay $80 a month to protect $1 million asset? And he's going to say, well, auto insurance is a law. I'm going to say, so what's more important to you, your family or the law? And at that point, he has to say, my family.
Right.
And so then the last thing I'll do to close it, I'll say, John, so look, you bring home $4,000 a month, and I'll write this on a piece of paper. So I'll write John underneath him $4,000 a month. Mary, she brings home $3,000 a month. So you guys bring home $7,000 a month. Your bills are $5,000 a month. So at the end of the month, you're doing okay. You got $2,000 left. You're living on that. You're going out to eat. You're doing all that kind of stuff. You're having fun in life. You got an extra $2,000 a month. Now the problem, John, is so I cross John's name out with his income with a big X. You get in a car wreck, John, and you don't come home tomorrow. So then I'll look at Mary. I go, Mary, how are you going to pay $5,000 worth of bills on $3,000? Mary's going to tell me I'm not. So out of John's $4,000, we took $80 of it, so you've still got $3,920 left. But for that $80 guarantees you, Mary, that if John goes and gets in a car wreck tomorrow and doesn't come home, that $4,000 a month continues to come in so you can continue to provide for your family. That would make financial sense to see if we could do that, wouldn't it? Say, yep. Oh, great. See, we get the qualification process started. So the next thing is people will say, well, we need to get some other things taken care of, like health insurance. We don't have a health insurance right now. We need to get that taken care of first. We'll go, okay, John. Well, I understand all those other things are important to your family. However, what actually pays for all those things like health insurance? Say, well, my income does. I say, so what would you say is more important to protect? Those other things or your income, which actually pays for those other things? You say, my income. Say, so let me ask you, if we put together an affordable plan to protect your income so you can provide all those things for your family no matter what happens, would you implement it? Say, sure. Great. Let's see if we can get you qualified for the coverage. So the next one is, well, my agent's a close friend or a family member. So I'm going to say, okay, John, I'm sure you would never do anything to hurt your relationship with your friend or family member, would you? Say, no way. So, but let me ask you this. What's more important to you, your relationship with your friend or your wife and kids or your spouse and kids? Say, well, my wife and kids. So great. So if we could do a better job for your family, wouldn't it make most financial sense to take advantage of it? Say, well, maybe. Say, well, if your current agent really loved and cared about your family, wouldn't they want you to do what's truly best for your family? He's going to say, yeah, of course. Great. So let me see if we can get you improvement by your current situation. And if we can, we'll implement the coverage, okay? So, okay, great. So the last one is the Dr. Phil close. Now, some people, it's funny to me, you'll do their F&A, and their bills are more than their income, but it's just a habit. So this is the habit that America has got into, is that they see cable TV as more important than buying life insurance. They see cable TV as more important than investing in their Roth IRA, but that's because nobody's educated them before. And so you have to understand that it's their habits. And our job is to help them create better financial habits. So let's say I sit down with someone, their bills are $4,000 a month, they make $3,500. And I'm sitting there going, wow, like, how do they live or how do they survive? But all I know is I walked in and the cable TV was on. They had a nice car sitting out front that was insured. They have, all these DVDs. They have a rack of DVDs sitting next to a flat screen TV. All this kind of stuff that you pay attention to that you see in somebody's home when you're in the right market, right? So if they tell me that, well, Jeff, it's just like my bills are $4,000, my income's $3,500. I go, okay, can I teach you something real quick? And they say, yeah. I say, have you guys ever seen Dr. Phil on TV or at least know who he is? I go, yeah. I go, the reason I ask, I want to be Dr. Phil for a second. Is that okay? I go, yeah. I go, the reason why is he's pretty direct. He kind of says it like it is, but he's pretty honest. So I just want to be Dr. Phil for a second, okay? I go, okay. When I walked in your house, I noticed a few things. I noticed you have cable or satellite TV. Is that correct? I go, yeah. I also noticed that as I went through your F&A, you have auto and health insurance as well. Is that correct? Yeah. I also noticed you guys have cell phones. Is that correct? They go, yeah. I go, so let me ask you, John and Mary, which one of those things is more important than protecting your family? Would you say cable and satellite TV or cell phones or internet is more important than protecting your family? Well, none of them. So my question to you, John and Mary, is why do you have all of those things, but you don't have protection for your family? They say, well, nobody's ever taught us. I go, great. Well, now that you understand, what I'm going to do is get the qualification process started. We'll see if we can get you medically qualified for the coverage, okay? Okay, great. Do me a favor, grab your driver's license. And that's it. So I think those objections are very important. They're all the same objections every single time. I mean, I don't think there's any unique objections. Very rarely do you get an objection that's outside of those objections that we've overcome. So, everything inside of me, I truly believe that if you master these fundamentals and then you self-improve, so you're reading leadership books and you have a strong work ethic, I think there is nothing, and I truly mean nothing, that could stop somebody from winning in this business in America. I truly believe there's nothing. I mean, it doesn't matter the economy. It doesn't matter if somebody blindfolded you and dropped you in a city where you didn't know anybody. If you master these fundamentals and you self-improve, so you got great thinking and you have a strong work ethic, we could put you in any city, anywhere in America. We could, you could start over at any time, and you would be able to make $20,000 to $30,000 a month, guaranteed for the rest of your life. You would never have to worry about whether or not you can make 20 to 30 grand a month. I truly believe that with everything inside of me, that if somebody would master those, then you would make $20,000 to $30,000 a month as long as you had a strong work ethic and you think good. And so that's why constantly I'm always teaching those same fundamentals to our base shop over and over and over and over and over, and they get sick of it sometimes, I know. But I'll tell you, it was just like last night, we had a gal on our team, and she had a brand new girl who's been in the business about 45 days. She's field trained licensed. She went out, and at month end, she closed 3 sales. And this, her name was Janet. Now, her upline name is Ziamara. Now, Ziamara was so dang excited about Janet closing on her own. And she calls me up and goes, Jeff, man, I'm getting overrides. I'm so excited, man. She did it on her own. I didn't have to be there. And now, all of a sudden, the fundamental training to Ziamara is the most important training that I do. And she knows that the only reason Janet closed is because, one, is she's watching the Success System videos, and 2, is she's hearing it again at trainings. So she was comfortable to go out on a kitchen table, and she knew how to close when the timing was right. She knew. And because of that, now you have people like Ziamara, who this month, last month was her first month license. She's like 6,000 production. And, you know, this month her goal is to do 15,000 because she knows, man, if I do 5, Janet does 5, and we produce one other person that does 5, there's no reason why we couldn't do 15 grand in production her second month in the business. And that's exciting when you have a brand new person that believes that they can do that. Because when they believe they can, they can. That's a fact. So hopefully this stuff helps, Cheryl. I really appreciate you having me on. And I'm just excited about, you know, the next 5 or 10 years in this company, because I just see that this is a special time right now. There's so many people that are up and coming, brand new leaderships, brand new RVPs, just doing some incredible things. And I believe it's because of this moment that we're at in our company where the opportunity could not be better because of where our country is at. I just think this is a perfect time. The compensation has been aligned for somebody to go build a giant hierarchy. The company is telling us we want to build big hierarchies, and for us to go get freedom and build big overrides in a big way. And I'm excited about doing it. I'm excited about committing for the next 5 years to go promote 100 RVPs in our organization, you know, over the next few years to go promote 20, 30 first-generation RVPs because, you know, we know these fundamentals and get out there, go work, and sell the dream, sell a vision, and more importantly, teach their people the fundamentals so they can go out there and get a bunch of results in a short amount of time. So thanks, Cheryl.
Outstanding, Jeff. Outstanding. Thank you so much. We'll have this posted at bartlettchampions.com, and just excited about what you've gone over, Jeff. Thanks a lot, everybody. Bye-bye.